The first book that I read in 2025 is The Things They Carried by Tim O'Brien. This is probably the third or fourth time that I've read the whole book of short stories. I've taught the title story probably 2 or 3 dozen times, so I know it very, very well. The Things They Carried is excellent. Really, the whole book. There's 22 stories in the book. It's really, really solid from beginning to end. I think the three highlights for me would be The Things They Carried, On the Rainy River, which I think is a great story about a fictional account of Tim O'Brien going to the Canadian border and thinking about going to Canada instead of Vietnam. That never happened in his real life, even though it reads as if it is biographical. And I also like The Sweetheart of the Song Trebong, also reading as if it's biographical, but it's too ludicrous to possibly have happened. This is a wonderful collection of short stories. I don't think anybody needs me to say that. It's been praised and praised. I've been lucky enough to see Tim O'Brien read twice, once at the University of Indianapolis and once in Valparaiso, at Valparaiso High School. They did a city read of this book about 20 years ago or so, and Tim O'Brien came to their high school and read for an audience there. He's a wonderful person. He's a wonderful writer. He is really fantastic, and I think pretty universally accepted as the best fictional writer about Vietnam that really we've ever had before, not just living, but that we've ever had in American history. He gives the feel that this is real, and he even has a story in the book called How to Tell a True War Story, and he admits in the story that seems very biographical, he admits in that story that it's not true. Even though it's called How to Tell a True War Story, he admits that even this story is not true, and that's what makes the best kind of story, that to get to the truth, you have to be untruthful. I guess to understand that statement, I would suggest to read this book. Wonderful book. It of course is graphic. It's about Vietnam, and the language is the language of Vietnam soldiers, and O'Brien explains that in ways that I've never heard anybody else explain it. But he just says that, in order to stay sane, in order to keep the things that they were doing, to keep them detached from the things that they were doing, they spoke in ways that detached themselves from the actions that they were committing, actions that they didn't really want to commit, but they found themselves thrust into these situations. I'm 51, so I have no memory at all of the Vietnam War, but I have studied it, especially in undergrad, quite a bit. One of my best professors was a Vietnam veteran and has written several books about Vietnam, and we studied this. This book came out in 1990, and I was an undergrad from 91 to 95, so this was a really hot book when I was in college, and I studied it in several different English classes and history classes as well. I highly recommend this book if you have not read it. I'm guessing that you probably have because it's fairly ubiquitous, but if you have not read it, this is a must read for any American.